my name is David T.S. Wood, and welcome to My Extra Mile. Well, I get to interview some really fascinating people, great leaders, disruptors, humanitarians, visionaries, and luckily for us, goofballs. These guys always are a lot of fun, right? These guys sort of see things differently. They really do. And they're driven by purpose and passion and heart and contribution. But what they all have in common is they all leave the world a much more beautiful and vibrant and just exciting place. And they all go the extra mile. And with that being said, I get to interview somebody that I am so in love with. And I didn't realize how deeply it was until we did our last show. I thought, oh my God, you know, there's just this kind of deep respect and a deep understanding of how brilliant and how courageous and how fascinated this person is with life and people. And I think that, again, I could go through a formal bio, but I want to tell you about what I think drives her. And again, she can tell me if I'm wrong, and it's the word love. She has a capacity to love all people, and even the people that don't always deserve it. She has the compassion and the empathy to really see greatness in people and be able to bring it out, not by telling them what to do, just by showing them, by being a real live model and ambassador of life. So I'm so excited. So Emily, welcome to the show.
Thank you, David. I'm so excited to be here.
Listen, I could have done a formal bio on you and your, what you've done. I mean, just being really known internationally as one of the top network marketers in the world. I mean, really, that's an incredible thing unto itself. But I think we took away the word network marketing and we come back to a person. Just an incredible people make incredible networkers, right?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so we get to dive into this. I'm going to do 2 shows. And halfway through, we're going to stop. Doesn't matter where we get to. And we're going to cover the fundamental skills. And you and I have agreed that really there's 8 fundamental skills. And we're going to go through each one. But, because there's two sides to becoming a network marketer, and especially a professional network marketer, which is what we're talking about. The one side is really understanding your why, and the other side is your skill sets. And I wonder if you can just touch on the why. What was the why originally? What was the why that brought you in? And what's the why that's sustaining you today? Just so people can understand what your why is.
So good. And I always tell everyone and ask everyone, what is your why? Why are you going to do this? In the beginning, David, for me, it was to pay my rent. And then shortly thereafter, it was to become my own boss. I didn't have this big why of changing the world and making an impact. It was simply to live. And then I saw a little bit more and I'm like, I want to design my days, right? And then now, gosh, my why is to make a dramatic impact on the world, is to leave the world a better place and to make people realize that they're worthy of all the best love in life has to offer them. And so every day my why is to make an impact and to be used to literally remind people of how great they are and what they're capable of, and to see other leaders rise. It's one of my greatest fulfillments on the planet, is watching when somebody else gets on the stage or somebody else makes an income or someone else gains confidence that they once never had. Those are the moments that drive me. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting because, John Maxwell, he talks about the 5 levels of leadership. And when we look at those 5 levels, you get to level 4, which is people development. People follow you for what you've done for them. And then pinnacle, there's very few pinnacle leaders in the world that I know. I think of Richard Branson, I think of Jim Coover, and I think of you. I really do think that quality, but to become a pinnacle leader, it's the ability to create other pinnacle leaders.
Yes.
And so there's very few professions in the entire planet where you are actually, rewarded to grow people beyond your own capabilities or to allow people to out-earn you. I mean, where else does it exist that someone could join your team and you're going to teach them everything you know? And if they have more conversations, they can actually out-earn you and you'd be happy about it, right?
So happy. I don't know. If anyone knows where that exists, just let us know, because there's no other place like it. There is absolutely not. And it creates the most beautiful culture and environment and atmosphere. And it is the best. I'm in love with with network marketing because of it.
Listen, me too. And you look at in a professional network marketer's eyes, there's a thing that's so sexy. It's called certainty, right? And you can tell like you're on purpose when you live with this level of certainty, and there is no objections because people can see something in you as that belief. With that being said, I just want to touch on your why, your original why, because some people get caught up with this. They think it has to be this big, earth-changing.
Right.
You wanted to pay your rent, and it's okay for to have money as a why in the beginning, right?
100%. Absolutely. And you need to be okay with that. And you're going to grow at every level. It's going to change and evolve with your paycheck, with your experience, with your development in the 8 skills of network marketing. And don't ever beat yourself up because your why is because you want to be able to buy a plane ticket or something like that. That's beautiful. And that's your why. And it's just important to know what it is. So that way you can refocus on it every day until you achieve it.
And then the last thing on the why, because I really want to get into the skills today, is this idea that the why, you described it changing. And now you have this why, this such a big why to impact the world. But you have to become the kind of person through the journey, because I mean, you've been around a decade in this profession, right?
Yeah.
But you imagine it didn't start right away the first couple of 3 years where you started to say, I'm going to impact the world, but as you've grown, your vista and your understanding of how your business can impact lives and how you as a person can impact the world. I mean, it really is remarkable. So I want people to sort of understand that the why is expanding. It'll expand as we grow ourselves. And this is why our profession's so cool, because, we joke about it saying it's like having a personal development program with a compensation plan attached. In other words, that people who really get it understand that it doesn't matter how new you are and how clumsy you are and what a disaster you are right now. If you apply these skill sets and learn these skill sets, and we only talk about 8, that you can become a master as long as you're in action, as long as you're doing the do and you're having the conversations. That's where you get better. You don't get better just by listening to this. It's listening to this and it's applying it. You may have to listen to it 5, 6, 7, or 8 times and then say, okay, I've got this skill from Emily. So Emily, let's dive in. Skill number 1, finding people. People are like, I don't know who to call. I've used all my friends. So let's start with a new person, finding people, and we'll sort of talk about leaders finding people as they progress as well. Let's look at two halves of this coin.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really 80% of our business is finding people to talk to. And where are the people? Absolutely everywhere. Look in your cell phone, look on your social media. Think of, who did you invite? If you're married, who would you invite to an event? Who did you go to school with? And simply when anyone joins me, I make them have a list. And in 10 years, I still have a list. And it's my $1 million list. And when I first got started in network marketing, I was 23 and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, who do I know? Like I grew up in a small town. I worked as a massage therapist. I can't possibly know enough people to crush this. That's where my mind went. But then my mentor had me sit down and she set a timer for 2 minutes in the kitchen. I'll never forget it. And she said, no prejudging, make a list. And I started to write. And then, what starts to happen is you remember your doctor, and then you remember your dentist, and then you remember, your aunt, and then your aunt's kids. And it's like your mind just starts to go crazy and you realize you know a lot of people, and absolutely a lot of people. And so that was the start of my business. The day I started network marketing, I made a list. And even 10 years in, when I go to work my business and do my income producing activity, I go to my list and that's who I connect with. That's who I reach out to. That's who I follow up with still to this day. But people, David, are everywhere. In fact, I just got in from walking my dog here in Southern California, and I said hi to about 6 people just walking my dog and connected with them. And they're people I see throughout the day, my valet guy, my front desk person, but I'm constantly checking in on them and they are now on my list, right? We're constantly evolving. We're constantly meeting people. But you just have to know, you do know enough people. It's a matter of just brain dumping all their names down and contacting them.
I love the, and again, if you're thinking of things you can do at home, and we're following a very, very successful 7-figure income earner. If you don't know Emily's story, right? She's one of the highest paid. And so when someone who's doing the do and is immensely successful gives you a tip like that, like sit down with a stopwatch for 2 minutes, no prejudgment, and start writing it down. Empty your phone out. Because Emily, you weren't the kind of person, if you go back to when you were 23 and you made that first list, you were scared about calling some of the people on on that list, right?
Oh.
I mean, because like some people are, I can't put them down because they're a doctor, right?
Yeah. Oh, I was scared. Yeah. And so what I did is I started with the top 5 easiest people, which was my mom, my brother, my sister, my grandma, that's what I did. But they're the people that didn't do isogenics. They didn't do network marketing. The people that did are actually the people that I finally found enough courage to reach out to that were already successful in their own right. And I just approached them for what this could do for them. So yeah, definitely. But we all have that, ooh, I'm not sure, I'm scared. And those are usually the people that end up crushing this, I have found.
Yeah, and the other thing is we're not looking for everybody, although we say everybody. I mean, because there are people, if they're not motivated, they don't want to dream, they don't want to, they're closed or negative. There's a lot of other people, right? So some people, they get fixated on, because their brother's overweight or because this person's that, of just trying to save instead of inviting, because we're going to go to step 2 in a moment about inviting. But this idea that, there are people that you don't necessarily want to have in your business because of their attitudes, right? Is that right or not?
100%. 100%. There is so many people where there is a moment where I could share isogenics, but if I find that they are mean or are just a train wreck, it's not worth my energy. It's just not. And so the beauty of our business is we get to choose who we work with. And so, yeah, like you said, there's so many times where I don't even go there because I think of who do I want to travel the world with? Who do I want to have a cocktail party with? Who do I want to go to events with? Because you spend a lot of time with these people. So yeah, I mean, definitely you want those people that you want to hang out with.
Well, a friend of ours, Susan, she always said that she wants to invite people into her business that she wants to invite to the dinner table.
Yeah.
In her house to sit around with her kids. And that's a great litmus test is, who do I want in my life? So that's awesome. So again, very, very simple. We're going to write a list. I mean, that's the start, is to get the courage. So if you haven't written a list yet, you can push pause right now on this, put a timer on for 2 minutes and write and dump a great big list out. Because as we go through these next steps, at least you're going to say, hey, I'm ready. I have the list in my hand, right? And those of you who talk to the leaders, people who, like you say, 11 years in, you're still working from a list, where a lot of leaders, they go into this management mode where they think, oh, now I've got a team, and they don't do the fundamentals. So they're not actually practicing this skill set of developing a continuous list. And you just talked about a really beautiful cue is I just talked to 6 people, and in your mind, they are becoming people that you're associating with, and they're on the list, and you're building the rapport with them. And you probably haven't spoken with them about isogenics yet, but you're in the process of building rapport, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Making those connections, building the relationship. And when the time is right, I'll bring it up. But at whatever level you're at in the business, like there's either build mode, management mode, or blame mode, right? And so it's like, what mode are you in? And I'm always in number 1, build mode.
Yeah, and the results talk for themselves, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the results will always tell you what you're doing. If your business is flat or down, it'll tell you which mode you're in.
Exactly.
Right? So the results never ever lie. And that's where people get into blame. Oh, it's the company. Oh, it's the
Let me see your numbers, and then you can tell me that.
Exactly. Let's go to number 2. So number 1 is we're finding prospects, right? And we just talked about that. The elegance, the building rapport. We didn't necessarily talk about a direct ask. In other words, sometimes you meet someone and they're not on your list, but you just love their energy.
Yeah.
And you just wanna go and talk to them, and you don't have a chance to build rapport. You may never see them again.
Right.
So I want to touch on that because we can loop this one with inviting. So inviting someone you've built rapport with, but also inviting someone you just met and you only have a millisecond to do something. I call it the direct ask, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love the direct ask. I love it. So I may compliment them because really the reason I'm directly asking them is because I'm very energetically connected, so I can feel something. And so I might say, hey, I absolutely love your energy. I was overhearing you speak about X, Y, and Z. I know this is super forward, but I would love to stay connected with you. I believe I have something that would completely bless your life and you would crush it. Or I might say something, I am looking for people to partner with in my business, and you seem like the kind of person I want to work with. So I am very direct, but I say up front, I say, this is really forward. I just let them know, but I can't get over our connection. I can't get over our brief conversation. Or I'll ask a simple question. Have you ever considered? Have you ever considered? And, you know, I find doing that, what happens, David? People are not used to being complimented. People aren't used to that. I mean, oh my, even if they don't end up doing it, they just feel like, wow, you made my day, and their eyes kind of open up even wider. And then I get their contact information and, you know, I take it to the next step.
Yeah, that's, I'll give an example of a direct ask that happened to me. I was in Seattle, and those huge escalators they have there, and I got on the bottom, and a guy came on in a suit, and my simple question was, oh, you must love traveling, right? Because I didn't have we had the escalator ride to have a conversation, really, and he was like, oh God, and he just put his head down. He says, you know, I've missed every single one of my son's games this year. And all I said to him was this. I said, look, if I was able to show you something where you never had to miss another game for your son or take a cut in pay, because I kind of guessed by his demeanor that he was on the road because he was earning quite good money, so he's kind of golden handcuffs. I said, so if you never had to miss another game or take a cut in pay, would you be open to taking a look at something? And the guy's like, absolutely. And that's it. A direct ask. We got off the escalator. I got his information. That was it. You know,
that's it. Easy.
So, awesome. So let's talk about inviting. So you've got someone on your list, let's say, and I'm thinking about that new mind right now. So someone who's listening to us and maybe they're not developed yet as a network marketer, but they wanted to learn the skills. Go back to that new mind. What's the skills involved in inviting? What's some of the things that you practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're inviting people to take a look. We're inviting people to the next event. We're in the business of inviting. Okay, so we must master inviting. It is a skill that you got to get. And so I love the if I, would you approach. Okay, and then I thought of you because, so I might say, hey, David, how are you? I was thinking about you because I absolutely love your energy and your leadership and your wisdom. And I really wanted you, if you can, to take a look at a new business I started. I know you're super productive, but if I sent you a video, would you take a look at it? I just want to get your feedback. So I might say something like that. If I would you, I thought of you because this week, on Wednesday, I have a performance-based call for all my performance women and men. So when I'm making my list, I'm going to go after those people. So I might say, hey, James, I thought of you because I know you were a Division I athlete. There's a call this Wednesday with a ton of athletes on it. I would love for you to take a look at it. I feel like this might be right up your wheelhouse. If I would you, I thought of you because. So I am never sending a link, a video, anything until there's permission. I ask and they say, yeah, send it to me. Okay, so gone are the days of carbon copying massive messages. Just stop it right now. If you're doing that, you want to get personal with people. Maybe you don't know them personally, but you're connected with them on social. And maybe you don't even know the intricacies of their life. But, you know, like my valet guy downstairs, like he is on his feet all day long. So I might say like, hey, Brad, I thought of you because I see you every day. You do such a good job making everyone feel welcome in this building. I see how hard you work. I couldn't help but think about you. And I want to share with you something I'm a part of. If I sent you a video, would you take a look at it? If it's for you, then let's schedule a meeting and talk further. So again, I'm not going into, hey, it's shakes and it cleanse and, you know, I'm not like, oh, it's a $1 billion company and, you know, no, like I'm telling them, you know, why I thought of them. If I would you, Okay, I'm using that whole approach, and that's what I do all the time. I thought of you because, and you know,
And this is that really fundamental. If you think about our whole business, you mentioned it briefly there, is that inviting is really one of the most important things, because, you know, writing a list, that list can sit there for years. But actually inviting someone and actually having a conversation or building rapport is essential. But some people, when they invite, they invite with an expectation of a yes.
Yep,
And
right.
especially new people, and with that expectation of yes, they get defeated. And so often they'll learn something, they'll try it 3 or 4 times, and they'll get a poorer result, because obviously their belief house often isn't all the way over. They're not 100% certain, so they seem uncertain to the person they're talking to. That's why belief is so important. But talk a little bit about that, about, you know, how did you manage it, especially in the beginning, that you had a list and you were calling people and people were saying no to you, right?
Right. Yeah, so you just have to really embrace the no, and realize, you know, and one of my mentors said it to me best. She said, if we were in an elevator and there was 5 people and you had a Tic Tac, and obviously you were going to eat the Tic Tac, you would offer it to the 5 people. If 4 of them said no and 1 of them said yes, would you be offended at the 4 that said no? And I'm like, no. Well, then it's a similar thing with this. And you just have to wrap your mind around that. And so she would start to tell me, you got to go for no. Just change your psychology around it. And I'm like, okay, I'll go for no. And so what I found, and what I find when I mentor people, David, is typically they have a list, but they keep going back to the same 20 people. And so that's why it's so imperative that we just keep expanding our list all the time, because what I did in the beginning is I got really caught up on the same group of 10 people that were continually saying no to me, that I wasted so much time, and I could have been going out there meeting new people, making new connections, and reaching out to more people. But you know what I recommend, because you're going to get no. If you're not getting no every day, then you're not playing a big enough game. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that. Every single day of my life, I'm scared. But I feel the fear and I do it anyway, whether it's making a call that could change it all, or doing something big, a speaking engagement. I always feel that little scared feeling, but I know that's when I'm on the verge of greatness. So change your psychology with it. But I would tell you that, you know, you have to reevaluate why you're doing this every single day, and almost re-sign yourself up, especially in the beginning. And so that's why in the morning I do my daily visualization. I look at my vision board, and it just rejacks me up to contact my list and to get out there and make new connections.
Awesome. Now with the inviting part, when you're sort of, if we go back to your start and we think about, you're now a 7-figure income earner, which means you make over $1 million a year. But that meant that means that you've had an incredible amount of no's, So if I could sort of ask you just to share a little bit of your numbers, if you know them, right? How many conversations do you think you've had in this last 10 years?
At least 3,000 of just, and that's not counting the 7 to 10 follow-ups.
Right.
You know, at least from local networking events to Chamber of Commerce events to BNI to Instagram to Facebook. I mean, I would say at least.
Yeah, and probably more than that. And how many people said yes to you, from, just to give people an example? So if you've had thousands of conversations, how many personally enrolled do you have in your team that you personally enrolled?
390.
There you go. That, ladies and gentlemen, just think about that. We're talking about 2,600 no's, right? And that's a way to think about it. And then so Emily's sitting there with everything that you may be wanting, living the life that you really want. And now we understand it. Say, okay, go for the no. So what Emily did, and she talked about that feeling of fear, apprehension, doubt, and uncertainty, which every single person who's living life outside their comfort zone has that tingle constantly, because they're constantly growing into new territories. They're constantly growing. And as you grow, you have that feeling. So not only are you going to have to endure the no's, you're going to have to endure the no's with that feeling of, oh crap. Right, Emily?
Right. Oh my gosh. It's a good, yeah,
Uh,
you associate it with like something good's going to come out of this.
Absolutely. So finding prospects, number one, we got inviting, number two, and then at least to presenting. Now, there's lots of different ways to present. Walk us through your presenting. How do you present your particular, and what different ways do you present?
Yeah. So I invite someone to a tool, and the tool is the presentation. Whether they're coming to an in-home, and I'm still to this day very deeply passionate about getting together with people in real life. I have opportunity events all over the place. We call them Timeout Tuesdays, where people come and the presentation does all the work. It's a tool. Or the event might be a live webinar. We call it Wealth Wednesday, a 30-minute opportunity presentation, or a recorded video on isamovie.com. But I'm basically just inviting them, okay, to the tool to watch, whether it's Kathy Coover, myself, somebody else within Isagenix, give a presentation. And that's where I'm showing them everything that Isagenix has to provide. Now, sometimes I may be with a smaller group, one person on Zoom, and I'm presenting them Isagenix. But before I do any of that, even before I start an in-home presentation or a coffee shop meeting, the first 10 minutes is all about me asking them questions, getting to know them, getting to know what's going on in their life, what they do for a living, really building that so I know when I'm going into the presentation what to speak more to.
Yeah, and that's so essential, asking great questions. And people really, I mean, people so often don't develop the art of, active listening. And I would say, listening is something when you're really present with someone, hours can go by sometimes because you're really in that moment. Your mind's not running to what I'm going to say next. You're really listening and repeating. So that idea about, and I know you're such a wonderful listener. Can you just touch on that? Because, to be a great presenter, we have to be a great listener. To be a great listener, we have to ask great questions and then be in the moment and really let the questions move us. Really, because otherwise we come in with the agenda. This is where we're going, and you're not really being authentic. And someone can pick up on that. They pick up on the inauthenticity of you being in your head about to pounce versus really caring about that person. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, 100%. Because in the beginning, I was trying to get the pitch down and remember all the things and how to close someone and the value pack, and it was just paralysis by analysis. It's crazy. And I came into every meeting just almost like, here's the top, and I'm just going to present and verbal vomit and just fire hose you. And it didn't feel right. My closing rate was horrible. And until I realized I gotta slow down and get to know people. And it's all about connection. People do business with people they like, know, and trust. And I see it even today in any sales job. When someone is just 3 feet of heat, I'm like, just stop. I'm not going to buy it from you. I'm not. Like, you got to build rapport. I could train people on how to do this. So what I do in the beginning is simply ask questions and breathe. And I know, David, if I'm speaking too much, then I'm not doing a great job. And so some of you just calm down, and maybe you grab coffee, maybe you grab water, maybe you grab a beer, whatever. And I make sure that I'm constantly drinking it and taking a sip of it. So I'm letting them talk. I had to develop this skill. And so I ask them questions. Tell me about your life now. What does it look like? And then I let them talk. For the first time, a lot of people, this is the first time they actually get to speak about themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I say, what do you do for a living? Do you love what you do? Do you feel like you're getting paid what you're worth? I'll ask them those questions. Again, I'm just drinking my water, sitting back. Tell me about your health. And then, I've been up and down on the scale. How does that make you feel? And here comes the waterworks. I'm really letting them open up, and we are just developing a beautiful relationship. And it's all about them. It is not about me and what I have and what I've done. It's literally all about them.
And your posture isn't about, you're not trying to get them. You're not,
No.
there's two ways to do that. Someone can do it manipulatively, saying, I'm leading you down this path. So you hate your job, right? Ding, but it's not like that, is it? I mean, when you do it, there's a genuine connection where you want to get to know someone because you genuinely care about them. And isogenics may not be for them at all.
It might not, but I have found if you want to be extraordinary, you've got to go deep. We live in this surface level time of just, how are you? Good. It's just so surface level. And I find if you want to stand out, really go deep with people, ask them these questions and build those relationships that we're meant to build. And if they do isogenics, great. If they don't, great. At least you're leaving with a friend and some depth. And when you do that, people will never forget you.
Wow, and you said something there, which I think I love, because there's that old saying, some will, some won't, so what next? I really dislike that. I always say, some will, some won't, so what? Hey, let's stay in relationship should be the last part of that, because how often have you had it where it was a no right now, and maybe it's still a no, but you have a great friendship, or you've had a no for years and suddenly something happened in that person's life. And because of the relationship that you've forged and because of the genuineness of it, that they come to you and say, hey, listen, I think I'm ready now.
It's happened so many times. I couldn't tell you how many times. And basically, what I love to do as well is ask them, even if it's not for them, I just say, how can I support you moving forward? Maybe they're a business owner and they do something else. How can I support you? And I just cheer them on in life. And what goes around comes around.
That's awesome. Let's talk about the other part of presenting, which is important, is the word duplication. The reason why you're presenting, using tools and things that are duplicatable. Can we talk about the need? Because again, this new mind, someone listening to us right now, some of them are just stuck in paralysis because they're terrified. They don't know what to do. And what we're saying here is, everything you're teaching right now is pretty fundamental, right? Make that list, do it fast, don't overthink it, right? Being able to invite, but that real connection, that really deep and wonderful. What was the term you just used about going deep?
Depth, having depth with people.
Right. So then if we get into this sort of presenting part with the use of tools, I mean, the company spends millions of dollars creating all types of tools. Would you want to talk a little bit about some of the tools you use, and how you may use them? So someone listening, maybe they'll be inspired to go into the back office and actually go and look at and watch the tools so they actually know what they have at their fingertips, right?
Absolutely. My life with the tools is duplicatable. Without it, you're a one-man band. Okay, the reason we do network marketing is to create leverage. So use the tools because the tools equal leverage. But what I love, the IsoPulse app, the Isogenics business app, all last night, every Sunday night we close out the week, and we are all focused on Sunday night how we close, and we're all on the app looking at who needs one more to get double PIBs, who's about to rank advanced, constantly pushing each other. So I'm using those. The ISA Body within the ISA Lifestyle app. So the ISA Lifestyle, every time I enroll someone, I'm getting them on that app because Isogenics does the product coaching. They're blasting out the constant blogs, how to use the greens, how to cleanse. But this also is a place where your clients can track their progress, where they can register for the ISA Body Challenge. One of the greatest retention tools in our business is the ISA Body Challenge. So instead of me constantly making up stuff, I'm using what the company provides. I'm using the Isogenics live Zooms that we have, constantly doing different ISA academies, different trainings. My whole group, even if I'm not on it, I am getting them all to use what we have at Isogenics because that's what duplicates the events, things like that. And so if you have not spent time in your back office because you're intimidated by it, whatever, please poke back there, go look around. Even you have your own Isogenics website. So it's just so amazing. They've built it all out for you, and you can use your website. You can use the IsoPulse app. You can use the ISA Life app and just send it to people to sign up. It's so easy.
That's awesome. So the presenting, is there any sort of don'ts when you're like, so it's knowing what, yeah, this is what we do with presenting, but what's some of the big pitfalls that people have, or some of the big don'ts, you know, like you talked about earlier about sending out massive, great big, you know, cookie cutter texts that aren't authentic, or, you know, or overwhelming someone, or because we're going to get to follow up, which is our next step in a moment. But just is there some of the things you've seen that aren't working with the presenting part of this?
Yeah, well, with the reach outs, of course, just being inauthentic and copying and pasting scripts, that definitely doesn't work. But I would say with presenting, and Kathy Coover actually taught me this. She was like, you got to wrap it up in 30 minutes. Like if someone's coming to a meeting and you are taking 2 hours to explain isogenics, even an hour, I get it. We've got the best testimonies, but someone's going to come that has 3 kids, a husband, can hardly wrap her mind around this. And she's going to see some Paramount production thing and think to herself, there's no way I could do this. And so that kind of happened to me in the beginning. I was doing a meeting and this woman's like, this is so good for you. I'm so happy that you're so good at this. She's like, I could never do what you do. And I was like, I don't think that's a compliment. It's not, because I need to be able to duplicate, and she's freaking out. So what I started to do then moving forward is I started to play a DVD. Now you can stream it to your television. And I started to do a 13-minute isogenics overview that's found on isomovie.com. And so instead of me presenting the entire time, I use the tool. So that way people are like, oh, that was it. That's all she did. I could do that.
I can push play. Yeah.
That's duplication.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So.
That's awesome. And, you know, I think that there's that newness is actually a benefit where a lot of new people don't realize that, because you want people to look at you and think, oh my God, if you can do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
The other thing you mentioned, the IsoBody challenge. And I just wonder, you know, you are a product of the product. When I look at you and I look at your fitness, and there's a lot of people who do this, and, you know, we're in a health company. How important do you think it is that we really, like if you come in my house right now, you'll see it looks like an isogenics warehouse here, right? Right? Yeah. I always think I should take a camera around and show people how much I use it.
Good.
But, you know, there's obviously, for those of us that really are committed, there's a way of us presenting ourselves, which is just in the way we show up in our bodies and the respect or care that we give it. How important is that for you, and this health element, that you are really a representation of the products that you sell?
It's everything. It is about being congruent and honest. And I always tell the team this. It can be difficult to lead other people if you're not leading yourself. And what does leading yourself look like? Honoring your body, fueling your body with the best nutrition on the planet. And what I have found when you are doing cleanse days, or, you know, maybe you're doing a modified, taking it at night, taking it in the morning, when you're doing Ionic Supreme, when you're taking your vitamins, you can speak to it. How much easier is it to speak to something when you're actually practicing it? And then not only can you speak to it with conviction, I can tell in the tone if people are BSing me or if they're not. I just can tell. And other people can tell as well, just so you know. So when you're actually doing it though, hello, we feel so much better. We look so much better. Whenever, you know, you're stuck, and I learned this from Jim Hoover, when you're stuck in business, do a 2-day cleanse, and then you won't be able to shut up about it, right? And so it's everything to me. It absolutely is everything to me. And even when we release new products, David, I do my due diligence. This is my business. And so I go look at all of our resources and I think, okay, what are the top 4 things I need to know about this product? I order the product. So I start using the product so I can speak to the product and inform my own little baby testimony. Because with each product we have our own little baby testimonies. The sleep spray at night. I tell people, when you understand the comp plan, you know, you can hardly sleep. You know, so you need to start using the sleep spray, you know, and I'm so jacked about life, I can sometimes struggle with that. So I have my own little baby testimony with the sleep spray, with the oils, with all these other things. So yes, absolutely. one thing I can't stand, and then I'll shut up, is when people
don't ever shut up. Don't ever shut up.
When people come in and they're like, well, you don't even have to take, this, you don't have to take the products, like just join for the business. Like I in my time, I've heard crazy people say crazy things, and this guy he's crushes network marketing, and he's like, do I even have to take the product? And I looked him dead in the eye. I said, you absolutely do have to take the product.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to be a fake. And what good is that? We don't need more fakes out there. So anyways, I'll leave it at that.
No, but I love it. But that congruency fact, I mean, because what we're looking at, we're just about to get to step 4 or skill 4, so finding people, right? Inviting, presenting, and of course, follow-up. They say fortune's in the follow-up. This is the one, again, where I see people go through the first 3 steps and without any deep understanding. And some people say, it's 7 times follow-up. I always worked on the premise of 14 minimum. Just because it was easier rather than go for it should be 7. I was like, because I did cold call sales for a long time, and I'd say 14, but each time was really a chance to reconnect with the person and build a deeper rapport. So, I mean, I walk cold into stores, and then over time, just dropping in, saying hi, and just checking in and, asking great questions. I had so many sales because I understood follow-up, and I didn't mind going back time and time and time again. Talk to me about your lessons with follow-up, and what do you want to impart on this group listening right now?
Okay, just because someone says no, it may mean just not yet, right? And so you never know. That's why you have to stay in communication with people. But gosh, I tell you what, follow-up is key. I can look at all of our 6, and we have 7-figure earners on our team as well. And the people that I've brought in, how many times I've had to have that high touch communication with them, whether I'm sending them a, happy birthday message, whether I'm congratulating them on a new job, whether I'm circling back to see if anything's changed, if they're ready to start with us again. It's a lot. It is absolutely a lot. But, I believe when you stay in front, when you stay in front of someone's face, if you will, whether it's on social media or in person, when the time comes that they want to do a cleanse, when the time comes that they lose their job, when the time comes that they read a book for the first time that's talking about leveraged income, residual income, they come to you, and this is rung true for anything. I think of my videographer that I currently have. He followed up with me so many times. He found creative ways to stay in contact. He would send me videos on Instagram. He sent me emails. He sent me texts. I mean, I was just like, I can't forget about this guy because he is so not annoyingly aggressive, but just kind. And so when the time came that I needed to hire someone for X, Y, and Z, it was like, duh, it's him. It's him, because it's like he is deeply passionate about what he does. And so it is so key. So just have that mindset of, hey, it's not yet, but just find creative ways to stay in contact. And every time, I want to say this, every time you reach back out, don't make it about them signing up. It may just be, hey, I saw you were into this. I just listened to this podcast where the guy was talking about it. Thought you'd like it. Have a great day. It may just be that.
So let's go, give us an example. Let's say that you've done your first 4 steps, or 3 steps, I'm sorry, presented through a tool. Just give us some language. Let's say you were following up with me for the first time. Yeah. Just how would that sound, just so someone listening can listen to your language? And again, because I know that it's so easy to look at you today and you're so well put together. And of course, you've mastered these skills. So it just effortlessly comes out of you. I mean, that's why we didn't sit and make notes about this. I could just ask you questions and you have the answers. Right. And that's why we didn't have to do a pre-call and say, okay, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you have an answer? Of course you have the answer. Your results talk about that. Right. But the idea that you've grown into this, and I want to remind people as you do it effortlessly, in the beginning it wasn't. You were clumsy, and you'd say that, all the mistakes you could make, you made, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So after somebody watches a video, they joined a call, maybe they came to your in-home and they jetted out of the door and you're like, I didn't even get a chance to talk to them, try to sign them up. We all have had that happen. So I will acknowledge them if I know that they watched it. You know, I just want to thank you so much for taking a look at that video that I sent you. I'd love to jump on the phone with you to hear what you liked best about it. Does noon or 8 p.m. today work for you? I'll give them like 2 times. So I really want to hear their voice, or I want to see them and talk to them, or I may, you know, with a follow-up, I'll say, hey, I'm circling back with you. I wanted to check in and see if you're ready to take your health to another level. So I'll say something in regards to what our initial conversation talked about, hey, how's it going? I'm checking in on you. Well, this is one that I do. Okay. Cause if it's crickets, I think this is more important than anything. Cause let me tell you, I get people that do not respond to me still. Okay. Crickets, they ghost you. So I will say something like, hey, David, I'm so sorry. Did I say something that offended you? You seemed so interested when we initially spoke. I'll leave it at that. And what always happens, 90% of the time, they're like, I am so sorry. You know, my boss dropped this on me. You know, my kid pooped his pants, whatever. And so I have found that, you know, it's not important to people until it's important to people.
Yeah.
So again, don't take it personal.
Well, I love what you said though, because I love that as well. You know, when is to write something like that. Hey, I just want to check in. Did I say something wrong? Did I upset you? And I found normally when I lead that way, I mean, I almost immediately get a response because people don't want to necessarily upset you. And, but you said also something about this guy, the videographer, and how much respect you had for his kind follow-up approach. And his passion came through in the follow-up. And I think that that's the other thing, is that when we truly believe in something and we truly come at this, with an entrepreneur's mind, to solve people's problems for a profit, that's the definition of an entrepreneur. But the idea that the follow-up becomes something where it starts to move you to become a professional, because you're now treating it like a real profession, because you don't start a conversation with someone and not follow up. And
right.
Keeping your word, I always say this, if I said to you, hey, listen, I'm going to follow up with you, would that be okay? And they say yes. I've given them a promise, which I will not break my promise to you, right? So that's part of that, the integrity piece of if you act flaky by not following up, that person's looking at you saying, hey, they don't even care about it themselves, right? Subconsciously.
Right. Yeah, I call that your credit score.
Right.
You start with the good one, and then little by little, what you say, are you going to back it up with what you do?
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's go now. We've got finding people, inviting, presenting. Okay. Now we've got the follow-up part. I did want to ask you one thing before we go to closing. How many times typically, just so the people hear it again from you, would you say that you follow up with people? I mean, give us an idea. So you've got a conversation with me. I mean, what's the most amount of times you ever followed up with someone?
The most? It just depends. Like, it really depends on who the person is, but I'd say between 5 and 8 times typically. Awesome. At my level, what I'm doing now, but I'm still creative and I'm keeping the door open. Listen, if I think they would be so great at doing this and I really see myself partnering with them, I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop building the relationship, really.
And that's really why I was going to go with that piece. It's indefinite, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're really in a relationship, you're going to follow up for years maybe. But it's not like, again, it's not with this intention of getting people. It's intention of being in someone's mind. So when they come to a new crossroads, which invariably people join our profession when they've hit a crossroads. Like you said, they lost a job, they've got a wedding coming up, they want to lose some weight or whatever, but there's normally a crossroads that comes up. And that's why you're going to see right now, I mean, there's never been a time in human history before where our company wasn't more relevant. When you think about what's happening out there, I mean, we're recording this during the coronavirus, so everyone's at home. And I don't think people get what's going to happen to our company. It's going to go kaboom, right?
So we just ended my highest week in network marketing history, just ended it during the corona last night ever. And here's the thing, and this is something that I want to train on always, is to really make sure people understand the 5-year plan with this. Just commit to yourself that you're going to be here for 5 years. because there is no company like Isogenics. And when you're committed to being here for 5 years, what will happen to you is you stay consistent. You don't jump all over the place, but you build with a company that's tried and true. Okay, when these types of things happen, you're going to have your business all in place. And because you've been consistent with your follow-ups, you got to give yourself enough time to succeed. Yeah. And I find that people that jump around, that's when you don't give yourself enough time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and people jumping around. I mean, we've seen that even recently. Where people who are built somewhere and then they go somewhere else. And the part of me is the loyalty part. Is they build a team over here and then sort of go somewhere else because maybe they're, for any reason, they're leaving. But then trying to get those people to come with them. And the truth is, if you can't do it here in this company, you're still going to take yourself with you. And it's no easier anywhere else. You're still going to have to master these skill sets we're talking about. You're still going to have to do that. And you want to be, like you mentioned, one of the most important things is to find a company that has longevity. Because, anything under 10 years is a nightmare because so few companies make it past their 10-year anniversary, right? So anyway, we won't get into that, but let's go into the closing part. But let's talk about closing. And, a lot of people don't like that word, closing. No, let's open people up to the opportunity. Yeah. But the idea is we're going to ask them for the deal, right? So talk me through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just think about, I don't know, when I go purchase anything, whether I'm doing skincare, I'm purchasing a package, when people don't ask me for the sale or ask, does this sound good to you? I don't have even confidence in them selling me something. I told a girl at the medical spa, I got a facial. She didn't close me. I told her, these are my concerns. I'm looking for this SPF, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, well, this one's kind of good. This one's good. And she just walked away. And I was like, I have no confidence in anything that is on the shelf or you. You could have just tied it with a bow. So people want that. Change your psychology around it. They want to be sold to really help them with their issues. Okay. If it's weight loss, like they're coming to you, you've already had the open conversation about it. Now it's our job to close. So I always ask people, do you have enough information to get started? Is there any reason why you wouldn't get started today? I am so excited to bless them. I'm so excited to give them good food. I'm so excited to watch them transform. I'm so excited to help them release those 10 pounds. I'm so excited to watch their skin clear up. I'm so excited to help them start their journey. Okay. I'm so excited knowing that if they don't love it, there's a 30-day money back guarantee. So is there any reason why you wouldn't get started today? Is there any reason why? And so with that conviction, I'm able to ask those questions and then present them with, good, better, or best. Are you going to start with our $20 a day system, our $15 a day system, or our $10 a day system? And, really asking them those questions throughout our clothing series is imperative, but asking for the sale and then letting them decide, it's just so easy once you start doing it over and over again. So again, this is going to take some practice. In the beginning, David, I had a little bit of a money mindset issue. So I was like, I don't want to ask them to spend all this money. But then I had to change my psychology around it. And my mentor was like, do you not want to help them succeed? What is your deal? And I totally started to realize, wow, I'm doing them a disservice because I would only start people on small packs because I thought, oh, I don't want to have them spend a lot, which was so backwards twisted. And then I realized, wow, like I use all these products every day. Why would I not offer them this and let them decide?
Yeah. What I love though, you made the closing part. Really what came through was your passion, that passion and certainty that these products, is a 30-day money back guarantee. So there's absolutely zero risk, but your certainty that you're going to be able to help solve the problem that's sitting in front of them, and the excitement, that's really part of it. But how simple was that close? Is there any reason why you can't get started today? And the beauty is, do you have enough information to get started today? People will say, actually, well, there's one thing I need. And that they're going to tell you what the thing is that's missing for them. And if you can help them with that, then, you're going to move to the next step, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So easy.
So we've gone through those first 4 skills and 5, right? 5. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the rest and really sort of dive in as well. But I want to say thank you. And any last tips for someone listening to these first steps now? Again, especially the brand new mind. What's something you'd like to share with them before we close this one out?
Yeah, I would say practice makes practice, and you're just going to get better over time. But practice this flow with your new enrollment. Practice it, with whoever enrolled you. Go through the flow with them, figure out what system works best for you and your organization, and stick with it. Stick with it. I promise you, I've been doing the same thing for almost a decade, and, over and over again, from making my list, to thinking about someone, to reaching out to someone, to asking someone to take a look, to then closing them on a system. I mean, we do the same thing over and over again, rinse and repeat. So if you're finding that one of these skills you're just like a little rusty on, we gotta attack and fix that, because you're going to be doing this for a long time. And that little piece that you're missing, whether it's the inviting process, the using a tool, asking for the sale, we got to fix it. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck for a while. And so reach out to someone, practice with someone, and let's sharpen your skills.
Love it. And, the thing is that there's the journey itself. I mean, people want what you have. If you want to be let's say a lot of people can't even think of $1 million a year. They just need $1,000 a month. Mm-hmm. But still, for the 1,000, it's the same thing that you do to get $1 million. They're going to have to do to get 1,000. And mastering the mundane, because that's what it is. You see leaders come in and they start to try and build a new widget because they get bored maybe. But here we go. How simple is it that we have these simple steps that we master and duplicate and teach, and then we have more conversations. We get to create the life that we're really looking for. With that being said, thank you so much, Emily. I'm so excited to get to the second part of the show. And remember, everyone, the extra mile is doing those little tiny incremental things on a consistent basis is what creates the extra mile and gives you the things you want. So we'll definitely see you on the other side. And Emily, thank you.
Thank you.